Alright guys, welcome back to Climates of the World. This is part 2. So we're going to do the last part, the backside basically of your chart. So here we go. So today we're going to start with humid subtropical. So the location is east coast of continents primarily, especially between 20 degrees and 40 degrees latitude. We would sit, this could potentially be considered our climate because we sit right between where humid continental ends and humid subtropical begins. So they have more mild winters, warm, humid summers. So we have a very warm, humid summer. It depends on the winter, on how warm or cold it is, and that's because, like I said, we kind of sit on the edge. So summer average temperatures range from about 70 to 80 degrees, and the winter from about 45 to 50 degrees. There is a lot more rain in the humid subtropical region, so about 48 inches in the year on average. As far as vegetation goes, evergreen trees like palm trees and ferns, bushes and shrubs. Once again, it's very good farmland because there's a lot of rain. So there's a lot of especially citrus grown in this area. As far as animals go, when we're talking like lower, like more southern, like United States, there's more alligators, but there's also deer, panthers, or mountain lions. Capybara, that's more in Australia. You get the capybara, which is the largest rodent in the world, and he's a cute little guy. Marine West Coast. So we see this mostly on the west coast of mid-latitude continents. So like the United States, they're like the western part of northwestern part of the United States. So around like Northern California into Oregon. It is influenced by the presence of mountains because we talked about that orographic effect. So they do get a lot of rain there. So seasons, once again, it's very mild. Okay, it's pretty consistent throughout the year. So mild, very very wet. So there's not a whole lot of range in temperature once again because it's right there close to the water. So similar to when we talked about Mediterranean, it's right close to the water. So there's not a whole big range of temperatures. So summer averages around 72 degrees, winter around 30 degrees, and like I said, so the ocean keeps the air over the land cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Like I said, they do get a lot of rain, so about 98 inches a year, which is a lot. So as a result, they have very thick forests with evergreens like ferns and things like that. Sequoia trees, that's the tallest type of tree in the world. Okay, and so we see those on our west coast. Animals, there's a wide variety of birds, eagles, bears, wolves, moose, small mammals. There's all kinds of different types of animals. Okay. All right, subarctic. So let's get a little colder. So we only see subarctic in the northern hemisphere between 50 to 70 degrees north. It's mostly winter there all the time. Summers are very, very short, only 2 to 3 months, so it's extremely, extremely cold in the subarctic. So the highest it's ever been is 85 degrees in the subarctic. And then the lowest it's ever been is negative 40 degrees. So that's a range of 125 degrees. So what that means is it can get there's such a big range that things can fluctuate very easily. They don't get a ton of precipitation, around 10 to 20 inches a year. But vegetation is all stuff that can survive the cold. So mostly conifers, some ferns, some shrubs, some grasses. And then animals, once again, it's all animals that can stand the cold. So black and grizzly bears, bald eagles, wolves, bobcats, wolverines, caribou, moose, all animals that are very suited to the cold weather. Tundra, so going a little bit farther north. So this is 60 to 75 degrees latitude. So this is kind of the transition between the polar ice cap and the subarctic. It's almost always winter there too. Okay, so very, very harsh winter, very cool summers. Permafrost is deeper, so in the deeper parts of the soil, it stays frozen. The temperatures range in the summer from 35 to 50 degrees at most. The winter time, negative 50 to negative 18 degrees. So very, very cold. They don't get a ton of precipitation either, 5 to 15 inches a year, and a lot of that has to do with how cold it is. So for it to rain, it has to be at least a certain temperature. If it's below that, then it's just dropping ice. If it does, but in most cases, when it's too cold like that, it doesn't rise high enough to get up into the atmosphere. So it just has like a layer of ice. Um, Permafrost prevents a lot of tree growth. So mostly you'll see mosses, lichens, and algae. And then animals will see, once again, things that are very suited to very cold weather. So polar bears, muskox, Arctic fox, snow owls, reindeer, lemmings, some insects in the summertime, but not a ton. And then polar ice caps. So these are on the poles. Okay, so this is in the North Pole and the South Pole. It's extremely, extremely cold. So in the summer, it is 24 hours of light. In the winter, it is 24 hours of darkness. It's extremely, extremely cold. So the warmest that it's ever been in the polar ice cap is -16. The coldest is negative. Not that's not the coldest, but -70. And then the coldest ever is 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit, -128.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So cold, cold, cold. Precipitation. So this is actually considered a desert. They get less than 10 inches a year, and once again, that's because it's so cold that the water can't rise in the atmosphere, and so it's mostly just ice. Vegetation, there's hardly any. Moss and lichen. As far as animals go, in the South Pole, there's penguins, and then you have polar bears, seals, albatross, more in the poles as well. Okay, polar bears are in the north. There's none in the south. Seals are in the north and the south, and the albatross is in both as well. Highland. So this is in the mountain areas around the world. So anywhere there's mountains. So this is very high altitude climate. So there's no seasonal differences at high altitude, and it really depends on where you're at and how high you are as far as temperature goes. So I've mentioned this before, but every 1,000 feet you go up, it's a 3-degree drop in temperature. So it's usually very cold in the highlands. Precipitation, it depends on elevation. So there's usually snow that covers the mountains, but oftentimes, like for example, Mount Everest, the clouds don't go that high sometimes. So there's not a ton on the very tops. And then vegetation. So this once again depends on elevation. So if you are above what's called the tree line, trees just stop growing. Okay, so you can see in this picture here kind of where the tree line is, because once it gets too high, there's not enough water, and or there's not enough. It's too cold for them. Okay, so you could see kind of where the tree line is here, and so there's nothing up here. Maybe some grasses, but not really. It's mostly just rock and dirt. And then as far as animals go, it's like goats, sheep, snow leopards, mountain lions that are in this area. There's not a ton of animals in the highland climate. All right, and that's it. Don't forget to do your processor. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.